Jets to near the top of the entire league? Could it be Nathan MacKinnon, a point-producing machine? Leon Draisaitl, a goal-scoring machine? Could it be Kirill Kaprizov, who still is the most valuable player to his team despite being out of the lineup? There are so many candidates for player of the midseason.
All I'm going to say from my side, I don't know what's happening here, but I can tell you here, the goalies are due.
They're due.
They're due.
Yeah.
Give them a heart. And as far as I'm concerned, give them this midseason award here on the Drop.
Well, you're going to have to stay tuned to see exactly who we put for midseason player of the year.
That's right. And guess what? We got to get the show started. Let's go. Ah! Welcome, everybody, to the Drop presented by Discover. How did we change so fast?
I am very fast. You know, I have theater kid energy, many people say, which allows me to do quick changes between scenes.
Yes, and you certainly did that, and so did I. I do not. I don't know how I got changed so fast, but let me tell you, we are so happy to be back here with all of you, wherever you are watching us, the Drop presented by Discover. Thank you very much. And a little bit later on in the show, we're going to have a great announcement about some future shows that we're going to have that will be surrounding some big events in the world of hockey. But speaking of one of those events that happens to be at the beginning of March, that happens to be at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, you revealed some threads.
They are awesome threads. So Detroit, Columbus, Stadium Series jerseys. Obviously, Detroit, you see the look there. I talked to Fanatics, I talked to the NHL about the design of these jerseys, and the Detroit ones have to stay clean, Ardra. They have a very, very conservative aesthetic. They didn't want to get too crazy. Stadium Series jerseys, unlike Winter Classic jerseys, very forward-thinking, very futuristic looking. Detroit's, I think, is a nice, clean look. It's got a little bit of the collegiate feel to it, you know what I mean? And also their helmets, keep in mind, their helmets have a stripe on them to make them look like football helmets. And they have the Red Wings logos on the side. They kind of look like Thor or Mercury with the big wings on their helmets, you know what I mean? The Blue Jackets one, though, I think is more importantly one that I really love. They went with the cannon on the front.
Yes.
And they've not used the cannon as a primary mark. They've had it on a third jersey before. I think these jerseys are awesome. And by the way, the other thing that they did with these jerseys, there is an Easter egg on both jerseys. Go and find the octopus and go and find the Buckeyes on these jerseys if you do end up purchasing one.
Yeah, Easter eggs are the best, so that's great. And listen, I've seen some of the chatter online. It sounds like predominantly positive, which is very rare for any fashion reveal in all of sports.
They both look good-looking jerseys.
They
the
are.
Only thing that I have a problem with is the fact that they don't really have the NCAA aesthetic.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough, but still, I think they look really good, and I can't wait to see them on a fresh sheet of ice. This is a fresh episode of The Drop presented by Discover. We haven't done this in a while, so why don't we catch up? Because there's been a few weeks since our last show.
Yeah.
Winners and losers presented by Discover. And why don't we start with the Blue Jackets?
Yeah,
Fish?
the cannon gets 3 big booms, boom, boom, boom from me for being something that I've wanted to see on a Columbus Blue Jackets jersey for a very long time. Arda, the cannon logo, it's an iconic part of the franchise. They fire the cannon when somebody scores a goal at home games, as you know. As anyone who remembers Boomer the mascot will tell you, it can be fraught to use the cannon. You gotta watch out about using the cannon. But these jerseys look so sharp. I mean, look at that logo. It could be a primary mark for them going forward. Also, on the shoulder of theirs.
There it is. Hi, buddy.
Oh boy, did I miss that cannon. On the shoulder is also a new CBJ logo that's inspired by the kinds of pins that Union Army soldiers wore on their hats.
Awesome.
The CBJ jerseys, awesome all around. The cannon on the front's my favorite thing.
And I love the detail and the thought that goes into them, the intricacies, and it's nice to discover them as well. So, by the way, don't ever stand in front of the cannon. That's me and Nasher, one of the best hockey content creators. Yeah, that was scary.
You're way too close to the cannon.
Yeah, there's luckily, if not for that plexiglass, I would not be here.
Are you using Miracle Ear right now to talk to me? Because I don't know how that happened. Were you that close to the camera? Loser for me, I mentioned it briefly, the college spirit. They're playing at the Ohio State University. They're playing in the Horseshoe. You would imagine that with the Ohio-Michigan rivalry at the forefront of this Stadium Series game, that these two teams would be a little bit more aesthetically aligned with the Wolverines and the Buckeyes. Not the case. I spoke with fanatics in the NHL about this, by the way. The Blue Jackets did want to use those Buckeye stickers that we just saw on the back of the Ohio State football helmets. They wanted to use those for the game. Ohio State apparently very stingy with the trademarks.
Okay.
And they were not allowed to use the Buckeye stickers on the helmets for this game.
Fair enough. Not necessary. The fact that it's happening at Ohio
State University.
Yeah, at Ohio Stadium, shoe, is a win in itself because we've been waiting for this for a very, very long time for Columbus to have an outdoor game. Speaking of which, Columbus Blue Jackets fans have been waiting a long time for that team to be competitive and in playoff position, which they very much are, which leads me to a winner, East-ageddon. I don't know if it's a winner for every single team because I'm sure that a lot of teams would have loved to be in firm playoff position with no other teams nipping at their heels right now.
A quick check of the standings tells me that it's not something that Buffalo is all that happy about.
Well, you don't see the Islanders, the Rangers, or the Sabres here, and certainly the trade deadline will make the picture a little bit more clear. But I will say this, the Sabres included, it's not complete out of the realm of possibility that any team in the Eastern Conference could possibly at least be battling for a wild card spot by the end of the regular season.
And we should say that the Lightning have a few games in hand on the Bruins in that picture too. So the Bruins are a little bit more wild card centric. It's going to be a great race. I tend to believe that some of the teams that are a little bit lower in the standings will move up in the standings. We'll talk about that a bit later. But when you look at the West and how set things feel right now out there, it's good to have at least one conference where it's utter chaos down the stretch.
I want to say this one thing before we move on. So if the Eastern Conference gets settled on the final day of the regular season, which it very much could, last year it was the second last day of the regular season. Let me read out the games that are happening on April 17th, the final day of the regular season.
All right.
Capitals and Penguins. Islanders and Blue Jackets. Bolts and Rangers. Wings and Leafs. Canes and Senators. Flyers and Sabres. Yes, all Eastern Conference matchups. Can you imagine, Wish?
Man, Leafs and Wings with Detroit needing a win to get in would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would. It would.
Kindling a little original six rivalry. Loser for me, goalie patience. Goalie patience is a loser for me because no one has it anymore. We saw it earlier this year when the Colorado Avalanche nuked their crease and created a whole new goaltending tandem. Obviously, that worked for them greatly because Mackenzie Blackwood not only has been stopping everything, I should say, since he was acquired from San Jose, but earned himself a contract extension after only like 5 games. But now we see the Pittsburgh Penguins being adios, Tristan Jarry, their primary starter over the last couple of seasons, gets put on waivers and sent down. He obviously blew a game for them this week against the Seattle Kraken. 2 goals in the third period in under a minute. If they're going to climb back in the race, I don't think Tristan Jarry is the goalie to do it, but it just goes to show you that it's ruthless now out there. If your goalie's not performing, we're going to be aggressive about it.
Yeah, and a goaltender may or may not be part of our Midseason Awards. Spoiler alert, yes, there are goaltenders involved. A winner for me, Jessica Campbell. Obviously, much has been documented about her being a pioneer in the league, the first female assistant coach in NHL history. But what I want to throw flowers at here is her social media content.
All right.
She's also pioneering behind the scenes and content, particularly on Instagram. Definitely go and follow her if you don't. The reason I love it is because we are not used to getting this kind of content and this kind of glimpse, BTS, from coaches in the National Hockey League.
Right.
And I would love nothing more than for Jessica Campbell not only to continue this because we love the content as hockey fans, but to be a trailblazer to inspire other, let's just say, assistant coaches to own this space, to be the ones that bring us the coach content that we are sorely missing in the NHL right now, that Jess is clearly proving is necessary and wanted from hockey fans.
It's exciting. I mean, granted, I would say 60% of the assistant coaches in the league probably will have to figure out how to use the camera on their phones to make that happen. But you're absolutely right. Like, look at what we're seeing here. This is stuff that we don't normally get to see. If we do get to see it, it's probably from a social media team. It's really cool to see. And she's been, as you said, an inspiration. I saw a video recently where somebody had an interaction with her where she signed someone's jersey and everybody lost their mind.
Amazing.
It's great. That's
yes,
awesome.
amazing. We don't need trade secrets. We don't need to be in the video rooms, you telling us everything that's happening with the team and strategies. Go look at Jess Campbell's Twitter. Use that as inspiration. Use that as motivation to give us content from the coaching point of view because it's necessary, in my opinion.
There you go. Finally, our final loser in Winners and Losers. Potential hockey drama. We almost had a great feud, Arda. We almost had a great one. We already have one in Vancouver between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. In Boston, there was a radio report this week about a rift between Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. Both the players shut it down pretty quickly. Marchand doth protest too much by dumping around 1,000 photos of the two of them on Instagram. Listen, it sounds like one of those things, Arda, where there may be a kernel of truth, maybe some disagreement at some point between the two that was then turned into a giant thing that it wasn't supposed to be. But Pastrnak and Marchand did a lot of work this week to say, hey, everything's cool, don't worry about us. And we could have had bi-coastal hockey dramas, Vancouver, Boston. Alas, they're besties.
It would have been like the 2011 Stanley Cup final of drama. That's what it would have been. It would have just been like,
That final had enough drama. Oh, my God.
Right, exactly. I like how Marchand handled it, too, by the way. I just love that he just completely shut it down, and he went at the reports. And, sometimes you got to do that in order to establish. And I love that he put up an Instagram post afterwards, like everything,
He put up a lot of Instagram posts. He put up enough Instagram posts where you're like, it's like a celebrity marriage that people think on the rocks, and then they put up like a few too many photos on Instagram
okay, so
to indicate everything's fine.
You're saying the overcorrection.
I'm just saying, I've seen this before. As a fan of celebrity culture, I've seen it before. It's a little overcompensation, but again, I don't really think there's anything there between them.
You're watching The Drop presented by Discover. So as we approach the midway point of the regular season here in the NHL, one of the big stories, of course, is Alex Ovechkin continuing to chase Wayne Gretzky's record. Just over 20 goals to go before he becomes the all-time leading scorer in NHL history. And I think we should absolutely honor it. And might it be a midseason award? Let's find out.
The Great Eight back after missing 16 games. Ovechkin scores! Goal 870. Here is Ovechkin shooting. He scores! Goal 871. A rebound. They score! It's Alex Ovechkin. Goal number 872. He's 22 away. Is there any way he's not doing this year?
Yes, the glitz, the glamour. Hold the flash photography.
Wow.
It is time for the Midseason NHL Awards presented by The Drop, and we are dressed to the nines.
We are. Who are you wearing, Arda?
I'm wearing Pre-May by Amazon.
Oh, interesting. I am wearing, of course, Party City Liquidation.
Yes. So I hope you got that at 80% off.
90.
Yeah. Well, we're at 50% of the NHL season, so why don't we go through some of our curated awards thus far in the National Hockey League, starting with Story of the Midseason. No shortage of things to talk about, of course. The great chase, Alex Ovechkin approaching Wayne Gretzky, dominating the headlines. How about the Columbus Blue Jackets? They're in the wild card hunt, as is the rest of the Eastern Conference, but more so for the purposes here, Columbus, and the drama in Vancouver,
Yes.
Elias Pettersson.
Fight! We love feuds. The winner, of course, Arda, is the Great Chase. Not only is this man doing it at 39 years old, he is having one of the best goal-scoring starts of his entire career with 17 goals in 20 games. Yeah, he lost some time to injury, but that Gretzky record is in sight, and it probably falls before the end of the season. Shout out to the Blue Jackets. If they do end up in the wild card, it's going to be hard to argue against that being the story of the season, with them overcoming the grief of the loss of Johnny Gaudreau. But right now, you have to say the exciting part of this year, the biggest story of this year, is the Alex Ovechkin goal record chase.
And it will remain the biggest story in the NHL until he surpasses Wayne Gretzky. Now, despite everything you said there,
Yes.
Alex Ovechkin is not a finalist in our next category,
No.
Player of the Midseason. Here are your nominees: Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, and Connor Hellebuyck. All Hart Trophy candidates right now, but who gets the nod in our awards?
As of this show right now, the Winnipeg Jets have 30 wins. Connor Hellebuyck has 27 of them. He is the player of the year so far in my estimation. He is the reason why a team that I think is kind of middling at 5-on-5 is near the top of the league. Shout out to Nathan MacKinnon and the points he put up in December. Shout out to Leon Draisaitl and the goals he scored. Plus, he's got the analytic argument over MacKinnon, Arda. But as far as who is the best player in the league, look, save percentage is cratering all over the NHL, except for one guy, Connor Hellebuyck, who keeps going up and up and up. I think he has been outstanding, and he is, for me, the player of the first half of the season.
There you go. Your bow tie's crooked. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
All right, from happiness to disappointment. We're going to talk about our biggest disappointment from the midseason. 2 teams, 1 player. The Nashville Predators had high hopes with their busy offseason. They have not got the job done so far. The New York Rangers are not where they want to be in the standings. And of course, you talked a lot about the memo that has gone league-wide by the GM. And, well, you have your winner right there.
Yeah,
Jeremy Swayman was the other one.
Swayman was the other one, but he's played his way out of this thing, I think, by this point. But, you know, the Predators are the biggest disappointment. When you are a team that was top 10 in offense last year, okay, and then you bring in Jonathan Marchand, and you bring in Steven Stamkos, and then you get to the bottom of the league offensively after those acquisitions, they had all the hype in the world, Arda, before the season. They haven't lived up to any of it. I will say, caveat, they showed last year they could put together 18 games, and all of a sudden they're back in the playoff conversation. But it's been a season of 1 step forward, 2 giant stumbles back for the Predators all year. I can't figure them out. They should be better than they are. The Rangers still within spitting distance of the wild card. The Predators are not. Yeah. They're the biggest disappointment.
There are very few teams that you are completely counting out at this point in the season. Most of them are in the West. The Nashville Predators, shockingly, definitely one.
Many of them are in Buffalo also, let's just point out.
Yes. The highlight of the midseason, here are your nominees. Nazem Kadri leads the way going through the spin cycle before scoring.
Stop! Look at that. It was dangerous, it was graceful, it was beautiful. It was Nazem Kadri. The closest we've ever come, Arda, to a figure skater playing in the NHL. Look at this pirouette. That is a 6 from the judges. Is 6 good or is 10 still good? I don't know. But here's the point.
I was like, why'd you give him a 6? That's terrible.
It was the Russian judge.
Unbelievable. Nominee number 2, Macklin Celebrini. Well, I just spoiled who number 3 is, but Macklin Celebrini has become appointment viewing every single game.
I think he's market corrected Matvei Michkov as the highlight reel goalie, rookie of the season. Look at this. Every time he steps on the ice, the Sharks might be the most entertaining bad team that I've seen in quite a long time.
And that's saying something. When you want to watch a bad team, they might lose 6-4, but Macklin Celebrini is going to give you something worthy of the SportsCenter Top 10. And speaking of SportsCenter Top 10, unofficially leads the league in highlight reel saves, Jacob Markstrom.
This might have been the best goaltending game of the last 25 years. Markstrom had at least 3 10-bell saves in this game. Some glove robbery, and on this one, look at him look at the puck before batting it away with his stick. The hand-eye coordination, it's insane. He was incredible against the Kraken in that game.
And that was just one game. He's had plenty of others, but we got to pick one winner. Who is it?
It's Nazem Kadri, of course. My God. Again, leaping over a fallen defender, spinning around, beating, oh, by the way, Andrei Vasilevsky for the goal. You know, the thing I love about a good goal highlight, Arda, is show me something I've never seen before, that I've never seen before. Leaping over an opposing player, spinning around on the ice, and whipping it past the goalie.
9 out of 10 people would fall after, look at his left leg there, or his right leg on the glove, right? Most people would have fallen. But he gets the job done.
And I think that kind of qualifies him to win the Lady Bing by not stepping on an opposing player's back with his skate on the way to scoring a goal. So that's a gentlemanly play if I've ever seen one.
How thoughtful of him, especially for Nazem Kadri.
Indeed.
Very nice.
Yeah,
What a turnaround.
Yeah.
No turnaround needed for Macklin Celebrini. In his first year in the league, he's already putting up an impressive Calder Trophy resume. And my goodness, does he bring it. Despite not winning our midseason award, he brings it every night.
Welcome to the National Hockey League, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. And we are underway.
Hey, I thought you scored.
You know what? Why don't we start with Macklin Celebrini as we talk about our bold predictions?
This is a crystal ball.
Yes, we're going to peer into our crystal
I
ball.
love a
No
crystal
need for a magic 8 ball here. We know exactly what's going to happen in the second half of the season. We've not only seen the script, we've written the script. And what
I've seen the future.
Yes.
We can tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, me as segment producer of the second half of the NHL season, I was assigned the San Jose Sharks and Macklin Celebrini. So I decided that my bold prediction is that Macklin Celebrini will finish the season with more goals and probably more points than Connor Bedard.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he already has more goals. He's got one more goal in 10 less games.
He's got more help than Bedard does with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Which is crazy to think, right? Given what the Blackhawks did in the offseason.
That's why every time someone talks to Bedard in the locker room, he's got a 1,000-foot stare and he looks like he's questioning his life decisions.
Yeah.
Because the San Jose Sharks are closer to contention than Chicago is. Here's my question to you. Is Celebrini a better player overall than Bedard in 5 years?
In 5 years, entirely possible. However, I think in that 5 years, we're going to get a big change in scenery. I'm not saying team. I'm saying personnel for Bedard. No, I'm not saying Bedard is going to get traded to New York or something like that. What I am saying is Connor Bedard has had, 12 or 13 line mates where he's played over 30 minutes with so far this season. That's not going to continue. Connor Bedard is going to find some consistency. They're going to find consistency that works. And optimally, on paper, Bedard still has the higher ceiling. We're going to see that ceiling. So Bedard might still get the edge in 5 years. But right now, it's a lot of fun to talk about how awesome Celebrini is, especially the way Bedard is going so far.
Stay here to hear first, folks. Change of scenery for Connor Bedard from Arda Cal.
Yep.
Everybody in Vancouver get very excited. He's coming home. Arda says he's coming home.
Yes, for Pettersson.
For Pettersson. Speaking of Vancouver, my bold prediction, Quinn Hughes wins back-to-back Norrises. Why is this bold? Because no one ever wins the Norris back-to-back. It's a new flavor type award. And then also, keep in mind that one of the top 3 candidates right now is somebody who's not won before. It's Zach Werenski. So I feel like the fact that Quinn won last year is going to be a knock on him in the eyes of some voters. They like to kind of freshen it up a little bit. I mean, even it's been a few years since Makar won, so if he's in contention, which he is, maybe he gets it. But I just think that the argument that will be made for Quinn Hughes, especially from our friends in Vancouver, about how much different the Canucks are when he is on the ice versus off the ice, which is to say an NHL team versus an AHL team when he's on or off the ice, I think it's going to really resonate. And I think that Quinn Hughes not only should get some MVP love, Arda, but I think he's got a really good chance to win the Norris again, and I think he will.
The numbers are staggering, as you mentioned, on the ice versus off the ice. Here's my question to you. Would it be an instant lock if it was not Quinn Hughes in the same exact season? If it was a different defenseman, just pick one that had not won the Norris. Doing Quinn Hughes numbers right now in this conversation, would it be a lock for that defenseman?
I think so, which is weird to say because I think that Werenski's kind of getting to that case.
Right.
If the Jackets make it, he could easily win the Norris. I think he's been that good.
Narrative-wise, Werenski to me gets a nod because of that.
But I think Quinn's been great. My other bold prediction, you know what I'm going to say here, folks? I'm going to say the New York Rangers make the playoffs.
What?
I know, and this is going to be a lot. Greg, the Devil fan, is mushing the Rangers. Whatever, I don't care. Here's the bottom line for me. They've got better goaltending than everyone else Arda mentioned in that whole thing before about the East playoff race. I think their power play has proven to be good enough to carry them a long distance in the standings. Are they good at 5-on-5? No, they suck. That's why they're going to probably retool the entire team over the next calendar year. But for this playoff race right now, they have a 26% chance of making the playoffs. And I think that they're going to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference as a wild card, Arda.
I think the doom and gloom for the Rangers is because they are not leading the Metro. The fact that they have fallen so far down is the reason for concern. But the East is such a gauntlet. I'm calling it East-ageddon for a reason here.
Yeah.
Every team is in play, including the Rangers.
My issue with that prediction is the fact that if they aren't in contention by the trade deadline, you could see Kreider leave, you could see maybe Condrey Miller leave. Like, you could see them retooling on the fly, and that ain't good for the prediction. But on paper, I think they're better than the majority of the teams that are in the mix in the East. And ultimately, we'll probably squeak into the playoffs, lose in the first round, and then we'll have a really fun summer as to see what Chris Drury does.
You know who scored a lot of goals against the New York Rangers? Alex Ovechkin. Second most goaltender he scored on, Henrik Lundqvist.
Whoa.
Most is Marc-Andre Fleury. Why am I bringing up Alex Ovechkin? My bold prediction, perhaps saying he's going to beat Gretzky for the goal record is not necessarily a bold prediction.
No.
I'm going to parlay 2 records. Ovi's not only going to break that record,
Okay.
he's going to pass 872, but he's also going to pass 178, which is the amount of goaltenders that he has currently scored on in the NHL. He is currently tied with Jaromir Jagr in that record. One more fresh new goalie, just one goal, will make him the most all-time in goaltenders scored on. And there are only 37 goalies, Wish, that Ovi has scored exactly 1 goal against.
Wow.
Yeah.
My bold prediction on your bold prediction is that Ovechkin's goals record will not be broken in the next 25 years, but the number of goalies scored on record will fall. That's my bold prediction. Everybody come back here in about 25 years, see if Greg's right.
Yeah.
But that's my prediction.
We will be back here on the drop. Maybe a couple more gray hairs.
Beamed into your mind through our devices.
That's right, yes. We will be via hologram, and we will tell you about that. Speaking of Alex Ovechkin's great chase, if and when he surpasses Wayne Gretzky and secures the record, I have a blueprint, on what the celebration on that evening should look like.
What Ovechkin should do when he breaks the record.
Yes, and what the whole scene should be like.
All right.
Correct.
All right, spell it out
The
for me.
first thing is, if it is, both the home and away team should be prepared.
Okay, they have to be.
Well in advance.
They'll all know.
I don't know if this is going to be an NHL thing or a team-specific thing.
Right.
If this happens on the road, I want a big blowout, and then the Capitals do their own ceremony before the next home game. If it happens at home, they just do it in the middle of the game. In that moment, the game doesn't matter.
No,
This is once in a lifetime.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about the certain things that should happen during this ceremony, which should take as much time as necessary. Number 1, I want to see these graphics. There is Alex Ovechkin as Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi.
The Ewok Village, correct, yeah.
Correct. Yub Nub Never Die. Then he's looking at the Force Ghosts of Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, and Jaromir Jagr.
But Jagr's not... There's only one guy that's not with us. Why are they all be ghosts?
No. Jagger's just like, I'm not in the NHL, but I'm returning, baby. I'm here in spirit.
I understand.
Because he will be in the Czech Republic, in Czechia. So that must happen.
Okay.
We definitely have to have that sort of graphic. What's next?
I say that Ovechkin will get a statue.
Yeah.
And this is what it's going to look like. You have to have Ovechkin in a classic pose.
That's the one.
Cheetos and a Subway sandwich.
And it's going to kind of be like the David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, where they unveil the statue and they're like, just kidding, we have a better one for you. But we just want that reaction. That's a perfect picture.
I'm trying to think about the Beckham and Ronaldo statues, and if the same sculptor did Ovechkin, would it be more accurate to the way Ovechkin looks?
Yeah.
Is my question right now.
I just love that what you're looking at right now is peak goal-scoring performance in the National Hockey League.
Indeed.
Soak it in, hockey fans. You'll love to see it. And speaking of soaking it in, what will also happen is we will have a replica fountain wheeled to center ice for Alex Ovechkin to swim in.
You have to have it. I mean, if there's anything we learned from his time winning the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals, the man loves to jump into a fountain under certain conditions. After imbibing a few, probably.
Actually, I like that idea better. Make it right at Ovi's office.
Wheel
Put
it
it
out,
at the face-off circle.
Have him go tarp off, jump into the fountain, and celebrate this bad boy.
I like that better. We're also going to have catering, Wish.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we
are. Everybody on the Caps bench will be given some delicious chicken parm and pasta from Mamma Lucia's, which is they can enjoy during the ceremony. That, of course, is the famous Alex Ovechkin pregame meal that has powered this record-breaking career for him. Alex Ovechkin and chicken parm. And by the way, we should have just photoshopped Buccigross onto the bench if it was going to be chicken parm. It's like the bat signal for Buccigross.
Well, Bucci needs to be there because he was the first one to say that Ovi will break this record.
That's a really good point.
Maybe he's the one that's delivering the parms.
He believed before no one else did.
Yeah, this was like a decade ago that he said this. Maybe he's the one delivering the parms and then having one himself at the end of the bench. Who knows? Or maybe emceeing the whole thing. That would be good. All right. The next thing is that this was inspired by Lionel Messi essentially giving out beers to all the goalkeepers that he scored on in his career. Alex Ovechkin will give out bottles of Coke to every goaltender that he scored on, and the amount of goals will be the amount of bottles of Coke. So Marc-Andre Fleury will get 28.
All right. Also, I think we should have a cauldron filled with the melted down gold medals and replica Stanley Cups of Sidney Crosby. Ovechkin can dip his stick into it. There we go. And get a little bit of that Crosby magic and comeuppance on Sid. Melt them down in a cauldron for Ovi.
Now, of course, we have to book this a little bit like pro wrestling. So at the end of the ceremony, Alex Ovechkin will be looking at the future. So Austin Matthews will do a run-in and hit him with a steel chair from behind as if to say, it's my time. You broke the record, but I'm going to be catching you in due time, buddy. Just wait.
And finally, look, Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of all time. Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of his generation. It's time that we update the awards. All due respect to Rocket Richard and a great name for the award. Please rename the goal scoring award the Ovechkin, the Ovi. What'd you do? Did you win the Ovi? Yeah, I won the Ovi this year.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I love that. I think that's a great idea, and he absolutely is deserving of an award. In all this has been fun. I do think that we should, the severity of this should not be understated. This should take as long as it needs to take.
Yeah.
This is something that will live with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
This is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime moment, so make it big. Handshake lines, commemorative videos, like this. Take our time with this. Do not rush this ceremony.
There you go.
Okay, and we're not going to rush the last thing that we're going to do here on the drop. As you know, Four Nations Face-Off is coming up very, very quickly. There is a certain game on a certain Saturday on a certain network, ABC, that will be played between Canada and the United States. Yeah. Okay, this is during the round-robin portion of the tournament, guaranteed game. We're going to see it. Wish the American and me, born and raised in the wonderful country of Canada.
Yeah. Yukon?
I think
Yukon? Where are you from?
Not. Stop it.
Okay, sorry.
We have decided that we are going to make a friendly wager on this game.
It has to happen.
It must happen.
Because we're going to win.
Why did I agree to this?
I have no idea. You don't have any goaltending. All right, let's start off with the basics.
Okay.
Obviously, any wager that begins with us will have to include costuming, as is tradition on the drop.
So winner selects.
Winner selects the nation-appropriate costume that the loser wears on the show.
Okay. So the loser walks in with a costume of the winner's choosing. And then the winner will present the loser with a 30-second script. Blind read. No idea what's on there. It can be absolutely anything. Nothing is off limits.
Oh, man.
And you must read it.
I'm going to have to come up with some rhymes for Trudeau now that I think about it. But yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Okay. So that's going to be probably the big redemption. But then at the end, we're going to leave it up to you, the viewer. We would like to find a suitable end to this bet. Our initial thought was a pie to the face. We think that's too tame.
Been there and done that. Arda wants you guys to come up with something that's like a pie to the face, but not a pie to the face, but also something that can be shown on video, and also something that is healthy, maybe that one of us won't catch a disease from it would be good.
Yeah. So get your thinking caps on. Let us know on social media, because the reason we're doing this bet is because we will have a post show after Canada versus USA in February. Also, a post show after the Four Nations final live in Boston. We will be there.
Look at that.
Amazing.
Exactly.
And oh, by the way, we're also going to be at Stadium Series in Columbus. So those are the next 3 shows that you can look forward to here on The Drop, presented by Discover. I already have your outfit picked, by the way.
I will not need to worry about that. USA all the way. World Juniors first. Four Nations next. Olympics after that, baby. USA!
Thanks for watching. What have I done?